Hey guys, it's Andrew from Old Dominion Ghost Hunters,
This is Josh.
and we just want to talk to you guys about our upcoming trip that we're taking. And if you're on the Facebook fan page, you probably already know, but we're actually going in a couple weeks here, about 2.5 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going to Kentucky to check out Waverly Hills Sanatorium and investigate it, and also Bobby Mackey's Music World. These are two locations that we've both wanted to do for a really long time, and Waverly's been on my list since I can remember, before I even started investigating. But if we want to go into the claims a little bit and stuff, just talk about Waverly first, I guess.
Yeah, so Waverly was in operation between 1926 and 1962. Now, people, depending on who you ask, will tell you different things. Some people say as much as 60,000 people died there, but the more accurate number is probably anywhere between 6,000 to 10,000 is what I've heard.
Yeah, from tuberculosis.
Yeah, from tuberculosis, because it used to be a tuberculosis hospital. And a lot of the claims go off that. Like, a lot of people say they hear coughing. Some people will even hear screaming. What floor is that? The third floor?
The third floor, supposedly there's an apparition of a child named Tim or Timmy that's been seen, and he likes to interact, and if you throw like a rubber ball down the hall, supposedly he'll throw it back to you. And there's been a lot of like EVPs from him as well on the third floor.
Yeah, and then the fourth floor is where a lot of people have seen shadow figures. The thing about ghost hunting is a lot of people say they see shadow figures depending on where you go, but it's really not that common. Yeah. But with this place, it seems like every video we watch, every website we found, most people are saying that they see it on a regular basis there, which is pretty incredible because it's just not that common.
Right. Yeah, it's very frequent. But the fourth floor, a lot of people say that's the most active floor there. A lot of things, I think they've also heard doors slamming a lot on that floor. That's another major claim. The fifth floor is supposed to be really active too. When people had tuberculosis of the brain, and it mostly affected the lungs, but it also technically could affect you anywhere, and it's a virus. And so when it got to their brain, it pretty much drove them crazy, and so they kept the patients that were in the worst condition mentally up there. And also there was a nurse.
Yeah, there was a nurse. I think sometime between like the 1920s and 40s. There was a nurse who actually ended up getting pregnant by one of the doctors there. And back then it was very bad to be pregnant and not married. So she ended up aborting the baby, and they ended up finding the baby in one of the wells right near the hospital. She ended up hanging herself in room 502, and a lot of people say they see her.
Yeah.
And that's really what the fifth floor is mainly known for, is the nurse.
Yeah. They've also seen shadow figures up there. At one point, it was also housed for the children, I think, that had tuberculosis. So that was kind of... Sorry, we got a dog interference here. He wants to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you. But also, Waverly is known for their body chute. It used to, when it was first constructed, it wasn't known as a body chute. It was just, the hospital was so big that they were... Thank you. They would take supplies up this tunnel, and eventually so many people were dying there that they actually had to use it as a way for people not to see all the bodies leaving the hospital. And it's a pretty steep hospital.
Let's get him off. So yeah, Jax really wants to talk about this.
He's very excited about it as well.
Yeah. But the body chute, I think you pretty much went over most of what it is, but a lot of people have experienced footsteps in there. One of the most common things that I seem to hear all the time is that people hear footsteps right behind them.
Yeah.
And like as you're walking through the tunnel, you'll hear like as you're stopping, you'll hear the footsteps trailing behind you, like someone's still walking. And you know, a lot of times we would think that that could be due to like kind of the tunnel effect with echoing and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of try to put that to the test and see if maybe that's what people are experiencing. But again, the way people have described it, if you stop, you shouldn't still be hearing it. If it's the tunnel effect, like
Right.
the echoing, if you stop and you still hear steps, that doesn't make sense.
One thing we're going to try and go into now, this place is again considered one of the most haunted places in the world. Most people consider it a top 10 in not only the country, but again, the world. And it's going to be really hard, but we're going to go in there trying to debunk things because just because people have had claims there, we haven't had them personally, so we can't vouch for what these people say.
Right. And it doesn't mean they're all true.
Exactly. And the thing about this place is it's so well known and so much sadness and death happened there that I'm guaranteed something's there, but you can't just go in there thinking that you're going to have something happen, and you can't, if something happens, you can't automatically say it's paranormal. We try and look at it from every single angle
Yeah.
before saying it's paranormal,
Yeah.
but again, with this place, it's going to be hard to debunk a lot.
Right. Yeah, you can't really go in there and expect to debunk this entire place and just say, well, it's not haunted. But I mean, we are going to try to do as much as we can in terms of that field. But I think the first and second floors, that there's a total of 5 floors plus the body chute. So this place is massive. It's 180,000 square feet. There's a different estimate. Some people say that it's not as much as that, but I've heard 180,000 a lot. But other than that, I think the first and second floors, like I was saying, was mainly offices, cafeteria. I think there were patient rooms on the second floor. The first floor, I know they use part of that they have a haunted attraction. So they have props and stuff up there. But I don't know the claims too much on that floor. I know that on the first floor there's a morgue actually near the body chute where they stored bodies there. So, and they have body trays that you can actually lay in. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people don't realize after Waverly, the sanatorium shut down in the 60s, it actually was open for, I think, 20 years as a geriatric hospital. So on top of, you have a tuberculosis hospital, and then after that, a geriatric hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
you just have a lot of...
There's a lot of death connected to that because not only were people dying from that disease, but after when it changed over, you know, geriatrics, you're talking about seniors and people that were, you know, for lack of a better term, on their way out. So, I mean, you know, you've kind of got that atmosphere too. So we're really excited about it. We're spending 2 nights there.
Yeah, and then after that, we're actually also gonna be doing Bobby Mackey's Music World in Wilder, Kentucky. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah. It's, you know, the history on that place is kind of interesting because it went through so many hands. At one point, it was a gambling hall during the 20s and during Prohibition, and they think a lot of the activities linked to that. But there was supposedly a dancer named Johanna that worked there, and one of the legends, you know, this is one of the things we're trying to separate, you know, fact from fiction on this stuff, but one of the legends is that she actually, she fell in love with a guy who, there's a couple different, people think he was either a dealer at the casino gambling hall, or some people think he was a singer. So she fell in love with him, and legend has it that her father, who owned the place, you know, he didn't approve of the guy, so he arranged for him to be killed. And when Johanna found out that he was killed, she poisoned her father and killed herself. And that's like the legend behind it.
Right.
We don't know. We've kind of looked around, but we don't know if that's really fact or not.
Right.
You can talk about the other one if you want.
Yeah, Bobby Mackey's is mainly well known for their episode in Ghost Adventures where Zach Bagans was supposedly attacked by something demonic. This whole place is supposed to have demonic entities. There was a caretaker who used to live in one of the upstairs rooms who supposedly back in the 70s ended up being possessed. Now, with that type of activity, we're not going to go in there and automatically think whatever's there is demonic because, again, we've never been there, so we don't know what's there. But those are just the claims. I've heard mixed things about it actually being demonic and it not. So we're going to have to go in there and try and figure out what's actually there.
Right, and there's one other legend attached to the place. I don't remember what time period this was in, but supposedly two satanic worshipers. Actually, this isn't supposedly. They were known to be satanic worshipers. I think their names were Scott Jackson and Alonzo Walling, and you'll see that. That's in the Ghost Adventures episode too. But apparently, they decapitated a woman that was Scott's girlfriend, I think, at the time, and she became pregnant, and they ended up. I guess he ended up not wanting to have the child, so he killed her. They killed her down the road. They decapitated her and actually took, well, legend has it that they took her head to the well in the basement of Bobby Mackey's and threw her head down the well. So, you know, that's kind of gruesome in itself. But again, that's another thing that we don't know for sure whether the head was actually thrown down there. That's just based on the legend, sort of.
Exactly. And the awesome thing about going to Bobby Mackey's is we're actually going to be going there on a weekend night to see what it's actually like. We're going to go, I think they have like line dancing and a mechanical bull. So that should be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool.
To see kind of what it's like during the day. And then because we'll be there, we'll be going down on a Saturday to Bobby Mackey's. And then we're investigating it Monday night, the, was that the 19th?
Yeah, 19th.
Yeah. So we have both of those to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. And honestly, up until like late January, we didn't think this whole trip was actually happening.
Yeah.
Waverly was one of those places that, and like Andrew said, we've always wanted to go to, but we wanted to get to it, but we didn't think it'd be happening this soon. And an opportunity presented itself, and we jumped on it. And we're really excited for it. This is probably the most excited I've ever been for a case.
Yeah, this is probably up there for me on that list of just exciting places to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
that's pretty much all we wanted to talk about. Just some of the stuff coming up on this trip and some of the activity and claims and what we plan to do in terms of, you know, investigating it. So we're going to be down there in Kentucky for a while, and we'll for sure be probably having blogs and stuff like that. So make sure you keep up to date with us. If you haven't already, make sure you add our Facebook fan page, Old Dominion Ghost Hunters fan page, and check that out as well.
pretty much touched everything, so.
Yep.
All right.
See you guys.